Let us begin our guided meditation by putting ourselves in the source of the presence. What do we mean by the presence? What we mean is that what we call the divine, or what we call God, is not in us, we are in God. Wherever we look, we can surely be aware of life. We can start with being in tune with our heartbeat, our pulse, the very movement of the diaphragm muscle up and down. This we generally call life. And when the eyes alight on some object, we register form and shape and movement. And this we also call life. When we see an organism and it reacts, we call this life. But there are some unseen dimensions to life. Let us start, for example, in the human body. We are unaware of breathing mostly. We're unaware of the repair job that is done in the cells of the body, the action of the pituitary gland as it regulates hormones, metabolism, the queen bee of the glandular system, the pituitary gland. We're unaware of the action of every individual cell. We're unaware of every part of the skin simultaneously. We're unaware of the operation of the liver and the kidneys, the intestines. All of these parts of the body we are unaware of. Same to the earth. For all of this comes from the earth's bounty. So that if we have a certain trained eye and a certain trained ear, we can pick up the divine presence everywhere. Let us start with how we are seated. Let us feel the surface of the skin. Let us feel how it is immersed in all the air around it. A kind of fluid medium that the body can move in, containing many useful gases. We have a mechanism to draw these in, a certain proportion of oxygen and the rest, that serves to give life and oxygenate all the cells of the body that gratefully take it, that exchange carbon dioxide for it, that ends up exhaling through the mouth or the nose into the atmosphere again, and so this drama is played. All of this can be registered to a oneness, the oneness of existence that is all around us. Our body is immersed in this. Let us feel how vibrant this is. Let us register it in a different way. Let us feel that it is the divine presence pouring grace on us in every direction, full of goodness and love and beauty and truth. This body is immersed in such a thing. And so when we say to sit in the presence, let us sit for a moment. Firstly, registering the way in which we are seated. Let us take full advantage of being alert and productive in our meditation by arranging the spine in a certain way, pushing the hips forward so that the chest, the neck, and the head are all arranged in a straight line. And just feel how the rib cage supports the weight of the body, and how the hands are arranged in such a way that the body remains straight, alert, erect, and open to the infinite possibilities derived from our contemplation. Let us understand this presence more by taking a slow, deep breath in, feeling how we are absorbing the goodness, the grace and glories all around that belong to a divine lover who has a purpose for us and sustains this body from within, patiently, lovingly, always supporting, entering into us, renewing the cells of the body, giving them the impulse of life. Let us feel then this freely flowing presence that at one moment is static and we are immersed in it, and another moment is freely flowing like the air. In this grace, let us feel that we are loved, that we are filled up, as it were, with divine, blissful love, that it enters into our very being, and that we can tangibly feel this vibration of divine love within us, like a warming flame, giving us warmth and life, giving us the possibility to shape our thought, giving us the possibility to consciously open ourselves and tune our minds in to the infinite. Let us now think that we have come to this quiet hour to contemplate this presence and all the products and things of this presence. Let us contemplate that every blessing upon this earth is an emanation or an expression of this divine presence and the governing principles of this divine presence called natural law. It expresses itself as the law of solar energy, the sun that throughout the day has warmed us, and in some cases the rain that feeds vegetation and plants and trees. The sun is a star. There are other stars. The stars, the tides of the ocean, and the moon, they all fulfill functions of the divine presence. And yet they appear as blessings to us. It could have been no accident that this divine presence hung the sun up in the sky, millions of miles away from the earth, just far enough away to give us the proper amount of warmth and the right amount of coolness. The divine presence really is the intelligence of this universe. It's an intelligence full of love and wisdom. Not the kind of wisdom that we find in man, but deep wisdom that knows the past, present, and future. Indeed, in it, there is no past or present or future. The sun, the moon, and the stars, all of them move in their respective orbits. They do it according to a divine plan that makes the moon and stars visible at night and gives us the light of the sun by the day. So when we put ourselves in the presence, let us contemplate all these things. Within us, we can feel a surge of thankfulness. This thankfulness is called prayer. And this divine presence is the source of all that is. This divine presence is love. And this love is made evident in the fact that before you and I and all our ancestors and all of man appeared on earth, everything was here necessary for our development, for our growth, for our welfare. Even the minerals in the earth were given for our use. The processes of nature that formed the iron, the oil, the gold, the uranium, all of these processes are of this divine presence. This divine presence must have known millions of years ago that these minerals would be necessary in the present age of our industrialization and automation. It is also an outcome of ingenuity using natural resources. Because that long ago they were taking form in the ground. Millions of years ago, the divine presence must have foreseen the billions of people who would inhabit this earth. Because this divine presence created fertile ground on which would grow trees and shrubs and flowers and fruits and vegetables and foodstuffs. And this divine presence may have said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, and whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And filled the oceans with fish and with elements not yet extracted from the sea, which may indeed someday support entire nations. And all of this is the divine presence gift to us. This divine presence is not just a life giver, a source of design and intelligence, but it is a loving giver. What does it give us? This gift is grace. This divine presence giving itself to me. That grace is my sufficiency in all things. the grace that created galaxies of stars, a solar system of sun and moon and planets, that filled the mountains with trees, the valleys with crops, the waters with fish, the air with birds. We can visualize all of these things and feel thankful. All this good planted in the earth, even before the need for it was apparent, is the evidence of this divine presence, its grace that flows. Let us feel this flow of divine love surging through us, within us, encompassing everything, and joining the outside like a continuous fountain of life and light and love. The divine love and wisdom which has provided for every need of this earth is our sufficiency. Can we ask for more than to know that the intelligence that governs this universe is governing our individual affairs? Should we ask for more than the realization that the love shown forth in the creation and the maintenance of this universe is governing my life, my world, my business, my home? The grace is sufficient to fill the earth. It is sufficient for every need. Let us behold this divine presence in all things, whatever the mind now lights on. And especially do we behold the divine presence in its law and in its love. This divine presence loves the fish in the sea and provides for their food and for their propagation. This divine presence loves the birds in the air and cares for them. This divine presence provides the gentle breezes and the cooling waters. This divine presence loves me and has evidenced that love by incarnating its own being, its own life, its own wisdom, and its own love as me. Assert this. I need only to obey the law of one power, and the law of love, and then all these things will be added. They are the divine presence gift without price. The things of this divine presence are mine, given freely in the measure of my acknowledgement of this divine presence as their source. This divine presence is the great giver of the universe, the great giver of itself to this universe, giving its love, intelligence, wisdom, direction, and strength to all. Now, as we contemplate now the glories of this divine presence that already exists, we are acknowledging the divine presence and bearing witness to its grace, which has provided all this good without our having asked for it, without our begging for it or petitioning for it. We have become the witness of the activity of the divine presence on the earth, in the earth, and through it. And at night, when we look up or down into the starry sky, no one is ever anxious about tomorrow's sun. Not one of us will stop tonight to pray that the sun will rise tomorrow. This divine presence requires no supplication, no information, no advice from us in regard to the government of its universe. And even should we pray all night in an attempt to change the hour of sunrise, there's no doubt but that the sun would rise tomorrow at its appointed time. And tomorrow night, the moon and the stars will continue to move in their orbits, and the tides will rise and the ebb twice in every 24 hours. Praying to this divine presence, petitioning it, or begging it will not change the divine law. The divine presence work is done. The divine presence has its law and it is in operation. And in our meditation of the wonders of this divine presence universe, we transcend the desire to inform this divine presence of anything or to ask it for anything. Such meditation lifts us to the heights of the great vision of the ancient sages and saints, that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Mentally, in a quiet, silent walk, in a park, by a seashore, by a lake, or by a river, in our aloneness, we can catch that vision. We can look up to the hills, to the mountains, to the heights of consciousness, and behold only that which the divine presence beholds, and know only that which the divine presence knows. Can you feel it? Anything that lifts us in consciousness above the clamor of the senses and the noises of the world. Anything like this will serve to bring us into the presence. And when we reach the divine heights of inspiration, we find this divine presence as it is. Let us do that now. Let us feel in our inmost being this divine presence. Let us feel that it is a deep silence. This divine presence is a stillness, the stillness of all that is human. Let an inner voice assert that before the dawn I am alone. I walk alone in crowds and feel the solitary divine self in the moonlight on the beach. Aloneness has been granted me to walk with men, to fly the skies and sail the seas. Wherever heart is raised to him, I walk alone. At heat of day or cool of eve, on shore or city street, the yearning soul receives my aloneness. And the sick are healed, the restless are forgiven, alone yet in the hearts of those who long for peace. The restless feel my aloneness, the hungry eat it, the thirsty drink it. It washes the impure minds of those who do not know, touching the mind with light. Aloneness has been granted me. Alone I sit here and now behind the prison wall. Alone I pace the sick room floor. Whatever danger threatens, my aloneness breaks the spell. Where misery craves company, my aloneness they may share. Let us feel, alone I wake and walk and sleep, alone I sit or stand, alone I travel sea and sky, alone I walk and talk with men, or stroll along the shady lane. Aloneness has been granted me wherever I may be. When through this spiritual insight we see through the appearance of all that we behold in this world is showing forth this divine presence glory, the divine presence at work, the divine presence as law, the divine presence as love for children, and we are children. The heavens and the earth were made for us. We were given dominion over them. That entity made us to have dominion over the works of divine hands, putting things under our feet. But we are this divine presence, greatest creation. This divine presence is the soul of this universe. It is manifesting itself and sending itself forth into individual expression, such as we have done here, and it comes out as a you and a me. Let us not only reflect on these things, but settle into that divine presence that sits within. None else is there. It is all there is. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace. Peace be unto all.